Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this first episode of Let's Talk Automotive. I'm just finishing setting up my computer here quickly, and then we'll get this thing going. So guys, the first episode, it's something that I've wanted to do for a long time. So welcome, my name is Fonnie Skulls. And my guest tonight is Micheal Cirillo, all the way from Canada. And before we get there, and before we get to speaking to Micheal, I just wanted to explain to you exactly what it is that Let's Talk Automotive is all about. So this show is 100% for you guys, the viewers, in the automotive industry, regardless of your department that you're working in, sales or after sales or F&I or whatever the case may be. We're going to be speaking to industry leaders over the next couple of weeks. We're going to try and schedule it for the Thursday so that it's a regular time slot. And we're just going to discuss topics. And this is where you guys come in. You can actually send me some information, topics that you want to discuss, more information that you want to talk about, and then we'll discuss it with the industry leaders. So this is just basically to send you huge and lots of value for your business and also for your lives. All right, so let's talk about Micheal Cirillo. We are setting up, or we're having a bit of an issue with setting up Michael's link at this stage. So I'm gonna tell you, it's a Canadian problem, I'm sure, not a South African problem. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Micheal Cirillo. He's the CEO of FlexDealer. They are a digital marketing agency. He's also a best-selling author. You must go check out his book when you have a chance. It's called Don't Wait, Dominate. He's also a motivational and keynote speaker. And last but not least, he is the host of the Dealer Playbook podcast. So, and that's where I actually got to know Micheal. Probably about 5-6 years ago, I was doing a lot of research and I came across FlexDealer, especially at that time. I was working on a website for the dealership that I was based at. And that's what they do. They specialize in automotive websites, SEO, and so forth. So Micheal was busy at that stage, also starting off with the Dealer Playbook with one of the well-known guys in America at that stage, Robert Wiseman, who was a Hyundai salesperson, if I remember correctly. And they actually started the Dealer Playbook podcast together. And it's basically exactly what we're doing here now. They talk to industry leaders, interviews. They've had guys like Grant Cardone on there, Gary Vaynerchuk. So yeah, that's the story with regards to Micheal. I just want to check with our technical team. Fritz, is Micheal on there yet or not yet? Guys, we're still struggling. We're struggling a little bit with getting Micheal online. I'm going to try and stall a little bit as best as I can. We're almost there. I'm getting in my ear that we're almost there. That's exactly that's exactly what the beauty of live broadcasting. All right.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay, we're just checking Michael's link quickly, guys.
Testing 1, 2.
I can actually hear Micheal. That's correct. Okay, I'm going to introduce you, Micheal Cirillo. Welcome to Let's Talk Automotive.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How are you? Yeah, absolutely. I'm here talking to the voice in my ears. Not yet funny, but eventually it'll be funny. Yes. And I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be chatting. My name is Micheal Cirillo, the Dealer Playbook podcast and FlexDealer.com. all the way from the frozen north of Alberta, Canada.
Michael, can you actually hear me now?
No.
Okay, guys, the guys are just setting up the technical link between Michael and myself. I'm actually gonna get Fritz, our producer, to actually just ask Michael to talk a little bit about FlexDealer and what they do. If you can just translate that to Michael, Fritz.
Hey, so FlexDealer.com, you want to go check this out if you are looking for a much more personalized way to accomplish what you need to be accomplishing with your marketing during a time like this. Now, there's one of two things that typically happen during a market contraction, and that is that people either stop doing everything, or there's those that take it as an opportunity to thrive and dominate. And FlexDealer is helping dealers all over the world be more strategic with their marketing. And by strategic, I don't mean cookie cutter. I don't mean doing the same thing that everybody else is doing. I mean addressing the actual demands of your market, of your consumers, especially during a time like this when it's more important than ever to stay engaged with them. We're going to be talking a lot about that today with Fani. Not so much about FlexDealer, but more importantly, what's going on in South Africa and what dealers can be doing to thrive at a time like this, not just survive.
Okay, Michael, can you hear me now? Okay, so Fritz, I'm going to ask you, just before we get to the dealer playbook and whatever the case is, won't you please just talk to us about your book that you wrote, Don't Wait, Dominate. Don't Wait, Dominate.
Yeah, so Don't Wait, Dominate is a book I wrote just a few years ago now. And the point of the book was really to provide a simple way for dealers to think a little bit more outside the box when it comes to their marketing efforts. More so, what opportunities they can leverage that, let's be honest, when times are really good, we tend to sweep certain things under the rug, certain things that we know we should or could be doing. Don't Wait, Dominate is about examining what can we do to be different when everybody is doing the same thing. I mean, Fani, you know this. Dealers tend to pay attention to what everyone else is doing, what their competitors are doing, and they tend to just follow suit. They do the same things. Oh, they're marketing this way. We need to market this way. They're advertising this way. We need to advertise this way. They're saying this. We need to say the same thing. The challenge is, if everyone's saying the same thing, your customers don't know what makes you different, and that's one of the things that they're looking for. And so I wrote Don't Wait, Dominate. And full transparency, I didn't know what was going to come from it. I knew that I had this burning desire to write a book and to get this message out there about how you can be different, how you can stand out in a cluttered market. And, we published it, about 4 or 5 years ago. And within 3 or 4 hours, it was a global #1 bestseller on Amazon, which far exceeded what I thought was going to happen. But it's a testament of a mindset shift that was happening at that time. You see, 5 years ago, there were dealers that were still trying to figure out how to make it from the last market contraction, right? And we're right back into it right now, where it's going to require us to think out of the box even more. And so a book like Don't Wait, Dominate is as relevant today as it was 5 years ago when it was or 4 years ago when it was first published, because times like what we're facing today all over the world is going to require dealers to think more out of the box than they've ever thought before.
Okay, before we go on, Michael, I'd like to just talk about the Dealer Playbook podcast and how that started, and then we'll go into the questions that I have for you today.
Dealer Playbook podcast, also kind of, man, I don't know what's with me and my self-deprecation today, but, when we launched the Dealer Playbook, I didn't know what was going to come of that either. I just knew, again, I had a burning desire to get a message out. I had a burning desire to help others. Lord knows I've tried to eradicate my desire to help others, but I can't. There's just something inside of me that I just, when you see somebody grasp onto something and look at, maybe their business or their life from a different perspective, it just brings me incredible joy. And so when we launched the podcast, The Dealer Playbook, I said to my partner at the time, you probably remember, Fonny, you've been listening since, the very beginning. Robert Wiseman, I said to him, man, I'll be extremely excited if 100 people listen to this. Within 48 hours of launching, it was new and noteworthy on iTunes. After it was new and noteworthy, it hit the What's Hot charts on iTunes, now Apple Podcasts. By the end of our first year, we were listed in the top 300 podcasts in the world. Fast forward to today, it still brings me as much pleasure today to produce that podcast as it did 5 or 6 years ago. Because I get to bring people from all over the world into a conversation with maybe somebody they wouldn't get to speak to regularly. Gary Vaynerchuk or Grant Cardone or like now, Fonny Sculpts, right? Like we get to talk and we get to be connected. And I think it's so incredible that we get to bring individuals into these conversations to start examining their business from a different perspective. And the cool thing about the show is we have individuals that work inside of the automotive industry. We have those that work in other industries. And I think it's so vitally important to bring ideas and voices and concepts in from all over the place to really, truly help us think out of the box. Today, we're on our 310th episode. We made a commitment at the turn of 2020 that we would go 5 days a week instead of once a week, and so that's something that we're committed to doing. And so fast forward to today, we're a top 30 marketing podcast globally, which I think again is another really inspiring and positive indication that the retail auto industry globally is shifting their thinking. They're looking forward. They're looking to adapt and evolve. And I'm going to submit to you, my friend, that while the news media showers upon us with doom and gloom, what I'm seeing is an inspiring, motivating behavior shift, a mindset shift that is going to help us grow in our businesses and in our personal lives for generations. What we're looking at right now is going to create innovation, generational wealth like we've never seen it before.
Mike, just before I carry on, I just want to double check. You can hear me now?
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. So, Michael, now the next question is probably the most important one we're going to talk about tonight. It is, are you ready to talk automotive?
Let's do it. Let's talk automotive, my man.
So Mike, it's a crazy time that we're living in at the moment. So how's coronavirus, this COVID-19 thing, impacted your life and your business and your country? I want to start there, and I just want to sort of compare what's happening on your side versus our side.
So how has it impacted me personally? I'm surprisingly doing really well. I see my own behavior shifts that I've invested deeply in myself over the last 20 years, and really strongly over the last 15 years, has helped me today in ways that I don't think I would have previously understood. Now, what do I mean by that? Daily gratitude. You know me, Fonny. Daily gratitude is something that I cannot live without. My day starts, the first thing that I do in my day, before I do anything else, whether I'm sick, whether I'm not feeling up to it, whether I am feeling up to it, it doesn't matter. The first thing that I do every single day is I pull out this iPad right here. I have a little note-taking app, and I, by handwrite, what I am feeling grateful for today, and more importantly, why I feel grateful for it. And, a few months ago, I started a group on Facebook, the DPB Pro group, and I knew that it wasn't going to be a large group. I knew I wasn't going to attract millions and millions of people, but I wanted it to be reserved for people that would commit to changing their mindset in their life. So how are we dealing with COVID-19 and what's the impact been? I'm calm, I'm collected, I'm creative, I'm innovating. And individuals in my group who have committed to the same practice of daily gratitude and goal setting have been reaching out to me and saying, I am dealing with this surprisingly well. I thought I was going to be more panicked. I thought there was going to be more fear. There are a lot of unknowns in Canada. There's a lot of unknowns all over the world. We're dealing with a tremendous amount of uncertainty. But here's what I would submit to you and for those that are joining us. As business people, as professionals in retail automotive, name a time when we haven't dealt with uncertainty.
Absolutely.
There's always
absolutely agree.
Regulations, and there's always legislation from government, and there's always certain things going on. We're always dealing with uncertainty. So now that we're dealing with a different type of uncertainty, that shouldn't change what's going on in our mind to be able to still control what we can control.
Okay, cool. So are you guys in lockdown? We can't leave the house except for groceries, going to hospital, getting medicine, very strict rules. We have to stay in the house. Are you guys also in lockdown?
Yes, and it varies from province to province. For example, the province of Ontario, right? They're on full lockdown now. Just a few weeks ago, dealers were recognized as an essential service. Now they've been ordered to close. They can keep their service and their maintenance departments open, but they have to close. We're strongly encouraged to do the social distancing and physical distancing and all of that. So, for me personally, yeah, we're on lockdown. I'm at the studio. It was a lot of fun getting things together on my own. I'm the only one here. And so we're keeping our distance and yeah, I mean, everybody's kind of navigating a lockdown and what do we do? And there is definitely an impact on showroom and sales and all those sorts of things. More importantly,
that's exactly
more than ever, we need to figure out how to adapt.
That's exactly the next question. How is the dealerships reacting in Canada and the States? What are they doing? Are they working remotely? Are the guys still selling, or have they just closed shop and now waiting for this thing to pass? What's the story?
I think what I'm seeing is it's 50-50. There's dealerships that have undoubtedly prepared for stormy weather. And they said, look, we're going to do our part and we're going to shut down and we'll see you back on whatever the date's going to be. I don't know what's going on internally in their minds, whether they're freaking out or not, but that's kind of, they've taken the responsibility in the community and said, look, not only am I a leader for my people, but I'm also, our business is a leader in the community. And so we're going to set an example. The other half,
sure.
I being fully transparent, the other half freaked out way too early. They didn't come up with a plan. They fired everybody. They maybe not the other half, maybe a solid 30%. We're just like, we're out. Sure. I don't know what to do. I'm lost. Furlough. Yeah. They furlough everybody. They fire everybody. They send them home. They weren't even thinking about how to work from home or how to set up remotely. They basically said, and full transparency, I see responses come back. So when we send out an email newsletter or something, I'm seeing more responses from autoresponders saying, hey, we're closed. I've been laid off. If you have a question, contact my manager. I'm seeing way too many of those messages than I'm comfortable with because of the impact that's going to have long term. So half of them are kind of trying to figure it out. They've set up some remote work environments, or they're the ones that can stay open who haven't been ordered to close. They're doing by appointment only. They're doing physical distancing. They've separated people. People are far apart, that sort of a thing. And then others, and then the ones that are working remotely, they are adapting as fast as they can. They're doing home delivery. They're allowed to sign paperwork digitally now, so you don't have to come in and sign papers. They're doing the best that they can to adapt to the current situation. And surprisingly, not in as large numbers, and we can look at those in later if you want. But
Sure.
There are still people who want and need to purchase vehicles right now, and or service their vehicle. And so
that's exactly. Sorry to interrupt you. I want to just
that's fine.
Say this quickly. One of my customers, right when this lockdown, in that week that we started, that was probably one of the weeks that they got the most responses and leads coming in. So, there's definitely still people out there that wants to buy cars. We just now need to figure out how to service them.
Correct. And let's be frank, Fani. Social distancing, while it might be new for us to figure out in the retail automotive industry,
sure.
If we look at the statistics, social distancing is something our customers have wanted for at least the last 5 or 6 years.
Exactly.
They don't want to. They don't want to come to the dealership. They don't.
Exactly.
They don't want to negotiate.
This is.
They don't.
This is what I want. This is exactly where I want to say. Isn't the majority of dealers that's making it now, guys that have gone, 3-5 years ago, started and changed their mindset, focused on more online presence, better online marketing, making their process more seamless. Isn't that the guys that's making it? And the guys that closed shop was the guys that were still stuck in the old ways.
Yeah, I don't know if you have these in South Africa, but when I was in elementary school and primary school, I used to enjoy reading these books that the concept of the book was choose your own adventure. So basically the premise of the book was you would start reading and it would be first person. You'd be reading as a certain character. And every now and again, say maybe 3 pages in, it would say, now you have a decision to make. Do you want to go this way and follow that person, or do you want to go that way? If you go this, if you make this choice, turn to page 12. If you make that choice, turn to page 15. And so whatever choice you made, you would turn to that page and you would carry on with the story. Inevitably, and I'm telling you from my own personal experience as a 10-year-old boy, I had hair then, by the way, for anybody that's wondering. As a 10-year-old boy, I always chose the vain choice to make. In other words, Michael, would you like to follow the beautiful hero of the story as she goes to discover a new land, or do you want to do your taxes? It was like, that sort of thing. It's like, well,
sure.
Duh, I'm going to choose to follow the beautiful woman. That's where I want to go in the story. Inevitably, every time I made vain choices, I always ended up being eaten by the monster on page 63. to the point where I thought, maybe all choices, maybe this is fixed. Maybe this is rigged. Maybe everything leads to getting eaten. No, in fact, there were good choices you could make. So to your point, where you could actually slay the dragon and be the hero. To your point, yes, every single day of our lives, okay, from the moment we were infants and realized this feeling in our tummy was hunger and we could eat or not or starve ourselves, every single day of our lives, we've been making decisions, and every one of those decisions has a compounding effect.
Sure.
So today, to your point, Fani, today the dealerships that 5 years ago decided to not pay attention to the digital revolution are experiencing the compounding ripple effect of that choice. The dealers who chose to focus on digital and saw that it was coming and decided we're going to make any move we can, even if it's just a small step forward. They're the ones who more than ever are positioned to thrive during a time like this. And the reason for it is this. We know that people are still going to purchase vehicles. You had just mentioned yourself that the dealership has received more leads during this. There's still indications that we can look at that show that there is still search interest for year, make, model vehicles happening. And I can show you where your audience can find that stuff for free, that they don't have to rely on anybody to find it. But the point is, there's fewer of them. There's fewer people searching for vehicles.
Here's my take on it. You know, I'm the silver lining kind of guy. I'm looking for the silver lining.
Sure.
So people are definitely now sitting at home, so they've got more time. They're spending more time on social media. They're spending more time online. So, you know, the right strategy will definitely get the guys and convert those guys to prospects, I'm sure. But what is the right strategy?
Yeah. So, and that's the perfect question. Well, what can we do? So we all know what the problem is. There's going to be a large portion of people who get stuck or fixated on the problem and they can't move past it. But I love what you're talking about, because I am also a silver lining guy. Even when you feel like there's nothing in your control, there's still more in your control than you ever imagined. So the question is, what can we do during a time like this to stay engaged and to build relationships, to not only send a very clear message to those individuals who are still looking to purchase or who need to purchase, lease renewals,
correct,
end of finance, service customers, fleet, you know, how can we still engage, albeit a fewer number? How can we still engage those? Because it's going to be more important than ever. Well, here's some tips if you want me to just dig into some ideas that I've been testing out and playing. So the first thing to remember is that building relationships of trust has always been the currency that mattered most. So once you understand that building relationships of trust is what always mattered most, you need to understand that it is going to continue that way. It is what will always matter most. People often cite companies like Carvana as if Carvana hasn't hired enormous amounts of individuals that work internally to provide an exceptional customer experience. So where some think Carvana is a completely hands-off, no relationship experience, no, they're still they invest heavily on building relationships of trust, even though they've moved further down into this digital retail model than maybe the traditional dealership.
Mike, I just want to chip in there quickly. Sorry.
Yeah.
Carvana is one of the topics that I want to talk about, but I'm not sure that everybody in South Africa knows exactly what it is and what they do. So won't you just please elaborate a little bit on Carvana, because I've done a lot of research and I've seen their model and I think it's awesome. It's definitely next level. But please just explain to the viewers out there what it's all about.
Sure. Simply put, Carvana is a solution where you can either buy a car and finance it directly from your home and have it show up to your house. In other words, I never have to visit a dealership. Or you can go, they've actually built, I think they're in 26 or maybe even 30 locations now. They've built these car vending machines. So it's literally a small footprint. It's maybe 5 stories high, and there's 50 cars inside of this vending machine. And so when you go through the process, they actually issue you a little a token, a coin, and you can put it into the vending machine and select the vehicle that you finance, and down it comes, and then it just spits it out to you, and your vehicle's delivered. And so what they've done is they've created, they are pursuing a little to no friction purchase experience, facilitating the entire transaction online from your home, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Okay, so that's an absolutely awesome idea, but I've still got some issues with the concept. The first concept of test driving or actually seeing the vehicle that you purchase before you actually take delivery of the vehicle. And then because Carvana's is, if I'm not mistaken, 100% used vehicles. So how do you go about issues on the vehicle or stuff like that afterwards? Do they have like a money back guarantee in place? What is the story?
Correct. So they do have mechanisms in place. I think it's a 7-day. I could be wrong, but I think it's a minimum of like a 7-day return, no questions asked kind of a thing. They do have mechanisms in place to handle all of that. But you're absolutely right, and this is kind of the point of it. You see, I'll preface moving forward by saying this. As human beings, I know you find this. I find this all the time. As human beings, we tend to latch onto something as if it is the be all end all solution. We look at it and we go, that's going to lasso the sun, the moon, and the stars, and away we go. And so there's debate out there like, oh man, is Carvana the be all end all? Is it not the be all end all? There's still all these other issues. And what we can say when we look at the data is that there's a surprising number. See, when Carvana first came out, it was publicized as the dealership killer. Well, look at it. We're a few years into this deal, and dealerships still exist. We're a few years into this deal, and when you look at rural areas, right? I was raised in a very small town. Dealerships, the actual brick and mortar dealership, played a very pivotal role in the community. And so what we're seeing now is that there is actually, there's a segment of consumers that are totally into that. Yesterday, I had a chat with Robert Wiseman, in fact, yesterday, and he said, if I have the option to never step foot into a dealership again, that's the route I'm taking. He's very engaged online shopper. I'm kind of a half and half. I've had 2 recent vehicle experiences. One happened completely over email, and then the vehicle showed up in my driveway 4 days later. The other one, I had to do repeat visits to the dealership. I had to meet my sales rep. I had to meet the sales manager. I had to meet the finance manager. I had to wait for delivery of the vehicle. Took like 18 days for the vehicle to finally get to me. There was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of wondering. So on the one hand, I'm like, wow, why couldn't that have been as easy as me working the deal over email and having the vehicle show up? Then the other half of me is like, whoa, like there's a lot of issues here. So my point is this. There is a segment, there is an audience for buying everything online. We know that. But there's also still a segment of people who need help.
Yes, agree. So don't you think it's a generational thing? So the older guys still prefer the older process, and I see it more and more now going back to the younger guys. All that's going to be online more and more and more. So we have to gear up our dealerships for that.
Well, I think it's important as a dealer to remember that you are a retailer. And so it's in your best interest to have digital solutions for those that want digital solutions, and to have a really squeaky clean in-store process for those that still need the in-store process. Inevitably, what we rarely consider, I should say, is that one day, Fani, you and I are going to be grandparents. and we're going to soften up. We might not be as who knows? I don't know. But traditionally, we see, I even look at my own father. When he was my age, man, it was like him against the world. It was like, oh, I can do it all. I'm a maverick. I've got this. Now that he's in his late 60s, he's softened up a little bit. He's open to help. He maybe needs help. Maybe there's something new that he's unsure of. My point is this. And this all ties back to build relationships of trust, because whether you're going to embrace a full digital retail solution, or you're going to do a mix, maybe a hybrid, or maybe you're just a small independent dealer that has 5 to 10 cars and you rely on, physical relationships. Relationships are the thing that have always mattered and always will matter. And you know what's highlighted that for us, silver lining, is this global health crisis. For a minute there, we thought all human beings hated each other. and now we're realizing how much we actually fully need each other.
Okay, so to summarize, Mike, I think to cover the Carvana, the online experience, all that sort of stuff, I want to summarize to say that at this stage, in my opinion, there's still a place for everybody. There's still a place for the normal dealership down the road, but I would definitely start gearing up for a more online presence. I think we're going to see smaller pop-up dealerships. I don't know if that makes sense to you, like a shop in a mall instead of a big dealership with a service department and all that sort of stuff. And we'll see there's still a space for everybody to play in this market.
Yeah, the key word is still. I don't know if you're seeing it in South Africa, but I'm seeing it.
Sure.
In my airport here in Edmonton, Alberta. There's a Hyundai dealership with, maybe a 2,000 square foot little space, and they've got a Genesis parked in there and one other vehicle. And so we're already seeing that. 5 or 6 years ago, my prediction was that the footprint of a dealership would get smaller. They might have one of every model at the store.
Sure.
And there would just, and this was 5 years ago, keep in mind, but I thought, okay, well, there's just going to be an iPad or something set up at each vehicle where you can customize it, pick the vehicle you want, and 2 to 3 days later, it's going to show up at your house. And my prediction was smaller footprint, smaller floor plan, but larger service department.
Sure.
And guess what? Guess what this global pandemic has just demonstrated for us? That the whole world might shut down, and if Fonnie, we go full on Walking Dead, I still need my vehicle serviced somewhere.
Correct.
I'm realizing where 6 months ago, even when I bought my new truck, it was a luxury. I was like, man, this is super cool. I'm realizing how much of a utility it is every single day. See, we don't sell cars in this industry. We provide freedom. And during this global pandemic, we're realizing how much freedom a vehicle actually gives us.
Absolutely. Mike, okay, so the next thing I want to move on. Sorry.
We still need the model we have today. However, there is a shift. We are being forced into a shift very rapidly.
Correct.
There's information from Deloitte specific to even South Africa's market. Deloitte, kind of did a comparison of the South African automotive sector as compared to the rest of the world. And basically they're seeing, maybe a forecast of what's going to be happening through this as far as vehicle sales are impacted. The interesting thing for me is that their forecast for 2020 doesn't quite bring us as low as 2009, even though the rest of the world is saying that this is gonna be a worse recession and it's gonna be all these sorts of things. So I don't want to be unrealistic. I don't want to be too overly naive or whatever. But I think the only way currently that we have to work with is in the model that we have. But it is incumbent. Okay, this is your we've arrived at this place in our Choose Your Own Adventure book. Will you choose to embrace digital? Will you choose to investigate how consumers are purchasing vehicles and how they want to be purchasing vehicles, and then do something about it? Even if, remember, small steps are still steps. Or will you choose to ignore everything that's going on, right? And then wonder why it's all going to crap in the next 15 years.
Okay, Mike, I want to do something and ask you something that I've struggled with coming from within the dealership environment, marketing and all that sort of stuff. But something that I've really struggled with and couldn't really hit the nail on the head was with online after sales marketing. So parts, service bookings, all that sort of stuff. I haven't really been able to. Do you have sort of a formula or special tip that you can give us on with regards to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple of things, right? So anybody that visits my website right now, thedealerplaybook.com, if you sign up for my newsletter, I'm going to shoot you over our latest ebook, which is going to fill you up with some creative ideas that you can deploy. But specific to your question, there's a couple of things that we need to understand. First, it is important for us to learn the consumer value journey. And what I mean by that is, how do customers actually move through the purchase journey? Because traditionally in the automotive industry, actually in every industry, I'm going to call it out right now, one of the biggest mistakes we make when we advertise is we spend all of our money going right for the kill. Aftermarket product, buy now, right? And then we wonder why it's so expensive to acquire those customers, or maybe why it didn't work to begin with. So the first thing that I would submit to those watching is that you need to chart out, how can I take somebody from becoming aware that I exist, engage them as the next step, then provide them a relevant offer once I know who they are and what they're actually, where their interests are. But right now, so many people that if they advertise, they just advertise right to what they think people are going to want without doing enough research to find out how to move. So what I'm getting at is, step one, learn the customer value journey. How do I take them from awareness to engagement to conversion to ascension, upsell, right? Ascension, upsell, to loyalty. You have to know those, and you have to know your customer. You have to create personas about your customer. For example, I would sit down. If I wanted to sell aftermarket parts or services to Fani, right? If I wanted to sell to the Stoltz family, I can't just make you an offer if I don't know anything about you. I have to put in my research. I have to know, first of all, what are you interested in? What do you follow? You're like for example, I know you're into motorcycles.
Sure. Right?
Because you always post pictures when there's 3 feet of snow where I live, and it makes me so angry. Right? But I know you ride motorcycles. I think was it a Honda that you ride?
Yes.
A Honda. And it's kind of an all-terrain, off-road, on-road.
Correct. Yes.
Correct. So I'm learning things about you. The nice thing about this, everyone that's watching, Facebook has something like 50,000 data points that they collect on people. And we,
Correct.
Every now and again people get mad about this, but you're the ones given the information. Right? Hi, just here at the whatever, selfie. Now they know who's in your family with facial recognition. They know where you are. They know what kind of phone you use. They know how often you use there's 50,000 data points. So my point is this: if I can leverage all of those data points, which you absolutely can by having an ad account. You can use the Facebook Audience Insights tool to get to know your audience, how many people are interested in certain topics, those sorts of things. Once you know who they are, now you can build awareness. You have to start with awareness. The fortunate thing for you as a marketer and for those listening is awareness is the least expensive way to get attention. We're talking, if you choose to run awareness campaigns on Facebook, it's pennies on the dollar. I have clients who are a penny per interaction.
Sure.
But the point is to build awareness. Okay, and here's the point: to build awareness, I can't go straight for the kill offer.
Correct.
I have to do something to engage them. During this time when everyone's on lockdown, you have something working in your favor, and that is that everyone is bored to tears. There's only so much Netflix you can watch. And so dealerships have a massive opportunity to get in front of an audience who is spending a lot of time at home right now. Here's an example of what you could do. Why not And I've been testing these, by the way. If you follow if you friend request me on Facebook, you're going to see how some of these work. I drew a squiggle on my phone and I posted it and I said,
I
take
saw
this
that.
squiggle and turn it into a drawing.
Yes.
And then post it in the comments. Well, people go, that has nothing to do with my business. Why would I ever do that? Because it actually has everything to do with your business. You see, the more
Correct.
awareness is about attention. And guess how many
Yes.
people see, what is this squiggle, this doodle drawing contest? Wait, who's Micheal Cirillo? Wait, what's the Dealer
Yes.
Playbook? Oh, what's FlexDealer? You see how that works? I'm building awareness. I'm letting them know I exist. What about this, Fonny?
Correct.
Using Zoom. Why not use Zoom
Yes.
and engage your audience by saying, hey, on Wednesday evening, we are going to be starting a book club. Here's the link. We can have 100 people at a time in here or 1,000 people at a time. Leverage technology to connect with people. Well, what does a book club have to do with your dealership? It has everything
Sure.
to do with your dealership because you
Maybe-
are serving your community when they needed you most. What they don't need is this. And here's the point. The point is you would never walk into the restaurant and see somebody that you're attracted to and walk up to them and just talk about yourself for 2 hours. That's how you get a drink
Sure.
thrown in your face. That's how you don't get the phone number. Right? You would never do that. You make them the hero. You talk to them about them. You get to know them. You build rapport with them. That's the point of running an awareness campaign on Facebook. From awareness,
Sure.
you can retarget those people and engage them. Engage them with your book club. Engage them with your your helpful information. Advertise.
That's
ready for
exactly-
this? Advertise a blog post on your website that gives helpful information about the Suzuki Express. Right?
Yes.
Because now, guess what? You can pixel them, and now you know people that are interested in the Suzuki Express. You know people that are
Yes.
interested in Suzuki. You know who's visited your website. And then you can target them with a relevant offer. So it works that way pre-sale. It works that way for after sale. If you know what vehicle they purchased, upload your sold vehicle list. The people that have purchased, upload that to Facebook. Create a lookalike audience and
Sure.
then advertise to them with things that they're interested in. If you know they bought a Suzuki or a Fiat or a Ford or whatever, and whatever the model is, now you can re-advertise back to those people about the products, the aftermarket services, everything that you believe they're going to need, but you follow the same process. Even though they're your customer already, you still need to build awareness about, run an awareness campaign that's like, hey, how are you enjoying your new whatever, your new Suzuki Express or whatever, right? How are you enjoying that? Oh, you're enjoying
So I can
it.
see
Cool.
that you've done.
Engage.
I can see that you've done quite a bit of homework with regards to South African vehicles, Mike, because we spoke about this about 3-4 months ago, and you said to me that Suzuki's not big in Canada at all.
No.
Very interesting
No,
fact.
not at all.
So Mike, what I want to do is I just want to break the seriousness, the tense. We're being very serious at the moment. So can we do a little bit something fun? Are you keen for a little bit of a?
I'm all for fun. Giddy up.
Okay, awesome. So now that I know that you've done quite a bit of research on the cars in South Africa, I want to see how well you know the cars in Canada. All right. So I'm going to show you a picture of a car. Yes. Can you see that properly?
Yes.
Can you tell me what car that is? I'm going to give you a tip before you answer. This is the best-selling car in Canada in 2019. Does it
That's
look
the
familiar?
best-selling car in Canada in 2019.
That's right.
Now we're talking car, not truck.
It's sure. I'm going to give you another tip here. It's probably an SUV type of vehicle.
Is it like a? Oh, that grill's throwing me off. It's either like a Chevy Blazer or like a Dodge Journey or something.
Oh, does that look familiar?
Oh,
Toyota
man,
RAV4.
RAV.
Yes, that
The
was the
RAV.
best-selling car in Canada last year.
The grill threw
Okay,
me
are you-
off. All right, throw me in a hit me.
Here's,
Come on,
here's,
come on.
here's the second. Here's the second most popular car in Canada last year.
Dude, it's probably like a Mazda.
Oh my goodness, no, Mike.
No.
This one
is,
is very interesting. This one is very interesting to me specifically because I'm actually, a couple of years ago was a manager in a Honda store, and
Yeah.
that car just never took off in South Africa, and it's the second most popular car in Canada. I couldn't believe it. The Civic sedan.
You know, that reminds me though, when I was in Australia doing some work down there, I was surprised to find that Mitsubishi was like one of their top brands, and in Canada they're still just they're fighting for market share.
Okay, I've got one last one for you, Mike.
I'm scared. I don't even
you owe for two so far, so please get this one
Is
right.
it a car? Oh, he's zooming out. He's just going slowly.
He's zooming. He's gonna try and help you again.
I have no clue.
No clue.
Can you tell? I look at the driver's seat. I don't. Is it a Honda? Really?
It's really a Honda. Can you believe that?
Wow. No,
I got that. I got that off. I got that off a very credible website. So Toyota RAV4 number 1, Civic sedan number 2, and the Honda CR-V number 3. Very interesting to me. All right, Mike. Now that we know that you're not into cars.
Now that we know that I don't know the best-selling cars in Canada, what I do know is that I drive the number 1 best-selling truck in North America for the last 50 years.
Okay, so what's that, a Ford?
Branding? What's that?
That's Ford.
Yeah,
a Ford.
F-150.
Oh,
yeah.
Well done. Well done. We've got very bad jokes about people who drive Fords in South Africa.
I remember back in the day that they used to have all these things like Ford stands for found on road dead. Things like that.
Yes.
But I don't know, man. It's a beauty of a ride.
All right, Mike, 2 or 3 questions to finish up tonight. Thank you very much for your time. It's been absolutely awesome talking to you.
Sure.
You've mentioned this a little earlier. The dealerships contract in times like these or this. So they stop spending money. They think they're going to save themselves by not spending money. Not spending money on marketing right now is probably the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
What's your opinion about that?
Yeah, it is the worst thing I believe you could do. Now, in context, do I think you could scale back on your marketing? Yes. Why? Because an experience like this has highlighted for us, maybe I need to focus on what matters most, or maybe I need to shift what I'm doing. So I just unloaded a ton of information on how you could advertise to the customer value journey.
Yes.
That was always important when times were good. Nobody did it very well. It's even more important at a time like this.
Now.
So yeah, I can understand you wanting to scale back your marketing if you were doing it, in my opinion, the wrong way to begin with. Because unfortunately, when times are good, it made it really easy for us to ignore how much we were wasting on our marketing.
Sure.
So today, yes, I believe more than ever, it's important for you to advertise, but you need to do it the right way. You need to speak to your customers about things that they're interested in. You need to engage them in a way that's going to be interested. And those that do are going to be so much further ahead. Not only that, they're going to steal market share. This is a huge opportunity to steal market share.
Absolutely.
Because
silver lining.
For every competitor that closes down and you remain open, at least digitally, or at least in staying connected with people.
Correct.
And you engaged with them when they needed you most, they're coming to buy from you. They forgot the message your competitor said is we're closed and we're done.
Correct. Okay, Mike, I want to talk about your value propositions that you can add actually. So the guys can go out. Where can they find your book?
So my book's available on Amazon. You can go check it out on Amazon, The Dealer Playbook. It'll pop up, and you'll get it, of course, on Amazon right now. There might be some delays in shipping as we try and get health supplies and stuff out, but you can definitely go get your hands on that on Amazon, which would be lovely. And then, of course, check out the Dealer Playbook podcast. It's available on all of your favorite podcast apps, from Apple Podcasts, Google, Stitcher, all of those different ones. And, of course, I want to be able to give you as much value as I possibly can. So head over to thedealerplaybook.com. Right on the homepage, you're going to see a little newsletter subscription slide out. When you subscribe to the newsletter on thedealerplaybook.com, I'm going to send you a copy of my latest ebook, which we just published, titled March Forward: How to Get Creative During Times of Crisis and continue to build momentum in your business. So I want to be able to give that to your audience for free as well. And I also believe we're giving away in that same newsletter a list of valuable digital resources, some of my favorite, that allow me to stay connected and to continue to build momentum. So definitely go check that out.
Mike, thank you very much. Last question that I want to ask you, because you a marketing expert, measuring your return on marketing investment, how do you guys go about to make sure, because the question that I have is, a lot of people want to know exactly, I've spent X amount of time, X amount of money on this marketing campaign. How do you actually measure properly with regards to that investment that you made?
Sure. The first thing is clearly defining what I want to have happen. Okay. So most dealers go, well, I want more leads. Right?
Yes.
However, in the back of their mind, they've made lead synonymous with sale.
Yes.
And so there's a huge disconnect, because if I say, well, I want to market to get more leads, what they're really thinking is, I want to get more sales. And then when they realize they're not getting the sales, they take it out on the marketing, even though the marketing did its job in many instances.
Yes.
So what I would say is, that's the first thing. You need to clearly define what your marketing objective is. You can't have an all-encompassing approach for everything. You need to segment it. I want to generate more new car leads. I want to generate more used car leads. I want to generate more fixed operations, service leads. I want to generate more oil change leads, tire change leads, et cetera, et cetera. From there, you need to break it down and say, okay, well, what could I do then to generate more new car? What are new car consumers interested in? What are they looking at? What are my top models? What are my highest selling brands that clearly Micheal Cirillo doesn't know, right? I need to look at each one of those. Once I know what my objective is, then it's easier for me to look at my data to see, okay, well, we ran this campaign that was specific to selling a new car. How many interactions did that create? How many click-throughs to my website did that generate? How many leads did that generate? And then when I retarget those people, I'm looking at those same things. Okay, so how many people visited my website but didn't take an action? I'm going to retarget those people with a different message. And then I'm going to look at these kind of, and we're simplifying a little bit, but I'm going to look at these same things. Okay, well, how many of those engaged? How many of those clicked through to the offer? How many of those engaged to the offer? And so now I can see more clearly, here's how this campaign worked or didn't work, or did it achieve what I was hoping it would achieve? And then you have to go back, and this is why marketing is more scientific and more experiment than anything else. You have to be comfortable testing and seeing what doesn't work. It's a race to find out what doesn't work so you can get to what works faster. And so get specific with your objective. Okay? You might say, hey, we just want to connect with our community and make sure they're okay. Cool.
Yes.
But somewhere along the way, make sure you remember that you've documented that that's what you hoped would happen. And don't get mad when you didn't generate leads from it, because you're not there yet. You were running a totally different style of campaign. So there's that. And then the second thing is, there are tools out there. We have a tool at FlexDealer, which is really cool, because it's from a data science perspective, it gives the user the ability to actually see all of that clearly and what triggered the phone call. So for example, if you were running Google ads, I can tell you exactly what keyword made the ad pop up, what they clicked on, what page they landed on, and then what page that caused them to either call you or fill out the form. And then I can listen to the phone call, I can track it, I can add a value to it. So there are tools out there that allow you to be able to do that, and I'd be happy to show you and your audience, if you're interested in that, what that tool looks like as well.
Okay, Mike, I think we're running out of time. We've been keeping you busy for an hour already. I just want to summarize where I'm at with regards to online marketing, and then just get your final thought on that. So the sales process for me stays the same and has stayed the same ever since time started. So the process stays the same. In my opinion, the place where the certain steps take place now has changed. So the normal good first impression that the prospect got when he walked into the dealership, that in my opinion has changed completely. That is now your online first impression, and your online meet and greet and building rapport with the customer. Everything, all that stuff now happens online. Do you agree with me? And is that where people still struggle? Like you say, they go in straight for the kill. They forgot about those first 4 or 5 steps in the sales process?
100%. If you look at key players in the American industry, guys that have been selling 40, 50, 60, 70, 100 cars a month, they don't skip steps. They don't get impatient with the process. They do what it takes to build relationships. Your digital first impression, absolutely. Google My Business, absolutely. You need these things, these mechanisms, and you need to follow the process of building rapport, building relationships of trust, speaking to them about the topics they are interested in, and then making relevant suggestions. You're not making you don't pitch people these days. You make suggestions based on your area of expertise and what they are interested in. And you can't do any of that authoritatively unless you know who they are and who you're speaking with. So yeah, you got to make sure you have a clean, concise, simple, fast digital first impression. And ultimately, you need to be able to follow that up when they are ready to engage with you in person, if they are.
Awesome. Micheal Cirillo, FlexDealer, the Dealer Playbook podcast. We've got Don't Wait, Dominate, all-round nice guy. Thank you so much for your time. I'm sure that we've had a lot of people online, too many names to mention, but thank you very much for everybody that joined in and watched the show with us tonight. We'll be back here next week, and we'll be speaking to another industry leader on a different topic. So please make sure to join in next week, same time, same place. Micheal, thank you very much for your time.
Hey, buddy. Thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Have a wonderful day.